and welcome back to the Hellcase Cup 8. We're going to be going into our second match of the day. For anybody who wasn't here to witness the first one, of course, we did see Sprout fairly easily dismantle Nordavind, so they're going to continue on in the upper bracket, while Nordavind are not out just yet. They will be heading into the lower bracket to join some of the teams from yesterday, including Endpoint and ESPADA. Well, the only two teams who are currently down there. Either way, we are going to be getting into our next match of the day, and I actually think this could be one of the better games we'll see throughout the sort of initial matches of the tournament. We are going to have HAVU, probably one of the more strategically based tier 2 teams, I would say. Like a lot of other teams are far more aggressive. And speaking of aggressive squads, their opponent, which has been spoiled, is Nemiga, who obviously had a very good performance recently at the RMR. I think they ended up being like the dark horse of the tournament, whereas when we went in, I definitely don't think I would have put them within that category. So the fact that they achieved so much, they're now ranked 24 in the world, which is a huge step up for them. The question is, can they now continue this on in some more online tournaments?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw Lollipop tweeting that's the highest Nemiga have ever been ranked. I think that's
I would believe that.
Yeah, which I think is fair. I think they're normally a team that were kind of in and around that top 30 region. Sometimes they get into top 30, sometimes they wouldn't quite be there. But recently they have been very good, and that Mirage is obviously their pick for a good reason. 78% win percentage. It's a map that they very much like to play. We saw them play it against some of the good CIS teams like Spirit and put up pretty good performances. So I think they'll be happy with Mirage. It kind of suits their playstyle to an extent where they can just go for crazy aggression, whereas HAVU have also been able to pick Dust 2, which is their most played map as well. So again, it's another one of these situations where I think both picks are fairly one-sided for either team. I personally have not been that impressed with Nemiga's Dust 2 in particular, though. So I think Dust 2, especially for HAVU, should be pretty solid for them. And you can see, unfortunately, for HAVU, their Mirage hasn't been great for them. They haven't played it often, but it's not the best win percentage.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see the sort of matchup that we actually end up having. Like, will it be one-sided? Will it be the more strategically based team that beats out over the aggression, or are Nemiga going to be able to surprise another team? Because the difference when you go into like the road to Rio or the Clutch Island is that a lot of these top teams like Na'Vi, VP, they're not going to have been keeping an eye on Nemiga. They're not going to be watching every single one of their ESEA MDL games and being like, oh, I'm going to pick this little bit apart. They're just going to go into the game thinking, we're going to play our own game, the classic useless quote that doesn't tell us anything about the match. But yeah, I've been thoroughly impressed with what I've seen from Nemiga. They seem to, I kept making the comparison to like a wolf pack. They would just run in together, trade effectively, and it was very, very difficult to deal with. The issue is, though, that HAVU are one of those teams who has been sort of starting to play against some of the better teams. Like, I watched them play in Blast Rising. They were champions. We saw them at Flashpoint as well, where they managed to perform very well. So I do think that there should be more depth to this roster, and I do think the rankings are somewhat skewed by the fact that we have two very different mentalities here. So HAVU, they do play some online tournaments, but if you look at the amount of maps played, there's significantly less, because Nemiga play everything. They just grind Counter-Strike constantly. They'll go and then play some like FPL, Rank S, you name it, they'll be on it. So it is interesting to see whether or not that more laid-back approach to giving yourself breaks, like still playing in a reasonable amount of tournaments, but not like wrecking yourself completely and preparing quite a lot like the Finns do, or if just the constant grind is what will come out in the better case. And if I'm being honest, a lot of teams seem to do better if they are continuously on the grind. Like, especially when it's at this level of Counter-Strike, just having that level of individual skill can be enough to take you over the line. And something I'm really excited to see about this matchup, the two AWPers on either side. You've got Spiidi, you've got ZOREE, who I think are both talented AWPers. Spiidi really impressed me going into the Clutch Island. I thought he would be okay, but he actually ended up being one of the highest rated players in the whole tournament. So if he can hit that level, if Lollipop can hit that level, I think they can take this.
Yeah, I got to say, looking at the results on Mirage, though, even though it wasn't a map that the HAVU guys played too often, they were playing a bunch of good teams there. Like losses against Big, losses against Heroic. They even beat OG in that list. OG are a solid top 20 team. They've got the talent to potentially be even higher. So seeing that HAVU can stack up individually against a team like OG makes me feel better about their chances against Nemiga, who are a skilled team. Like you were saying, Spiidi and Lollipop, two standouts. Box was the player for me that sometimes would overperform a lot and sometimes would underperform a lot. So he's oftentimes, I feel like, the key to opening up really the true potential of Nemiga. I just realized I said key when his name is Box. So, like, you can say the key that opens up Box.
Yeah, there you
Kind of
go.
makes sense.
If only there was another play called Lock or something like that, and then you'd have the full trifecta of completely pointless links to names. But
Yeah.
but yeah, I think going into this match, I'm kind of hoping it will be at least a close affair. But as said, I think that the way the rankings work at the moment kind of wrecked HAVU, because they were a team that obviously got boosted up heavily by how well they did at Flashpoint.
Yeah.
Then they did well at Blast Rising, but then they haven't done too much since, and they have had some upset losses along the way. Like, I feel like they should be beating teams like Endpoint. I think they lost to Gambit Youngsters at one point as well. Like, those are teams that, especially Gambit Youngsters, huge amount of individual skill with a decent amount of strategy behind it. So I do fear in the sense that just on an individual basis, just on an aggressive basis, that we could see Nemiga actually upset them here. But in reality, I think going into this tournament, as said, like, there's not a huge amount being played by HAVU, so they should have been well prepared for this. They should have been ready to face off against Nemiga, and they should know who their opponent is.
Yeah, and I think Nemiga as well will be trying to carry through that momentum from Clutch Island, but at the same time, that was a long tournament for them in terms of playing the qualifier as well, and then going into the main event. This is where sometimes it can be a bit more difficult to really put in the prep time for a team like HAVU here, even though it is, well, very even on the odds. You can see 50-50 according to Unicorn. And I think that's pretty fair. I think
I could see that, yeah.
It feels like a close series for sure.
I think I want to edge it to HAVU, even though if you look at like some of their more recent results, it's not been particularly impressive. Just because I think that overall they've shown themselves to be a higher standard of team. Like, I think that they've achieved a lot more, and I have seen still like fairly big mistakes from Nemiga at times, like because of the way that they play, because of the gambles they take. It can definitely hurt them. Luckily for them, the first two maps are Mirage and Dust 2, so if anything, a lot of those mistakes are going to be aired out. But I think that's one of the things that actually works against them on occasion, because it's hard to be surprisingly aggressive on Dust 2. Like,
Yes.
on other maps, like say you do it on an overpass or a nuke, like teams aren't going to necessarily be expecting you to push as aggressively as they do. Or even Inferno. I think Inferno was a great example, the way that they just consistently pressured Banana and then would just randomly switch to the ace. Well, I'm sure it was less random for them, but for me, it looked random. That was really impressive for me, whereas on a map like Dust 2, they really struggled, because if you go and blast your way through short, every team who played Dust 2 has seen that 4 million times, because it's the most common play. If you rush B, well, that's become a meme within Counter-Strike, because it used to be one of the most basic strategies that teams would try all the time. So I think Dust 2 is their kryptonite, because everybody does what they do on Dust 2, whereas on every other map, everybody else is just trying to play a bit more normal.
Yeah, and there's also just no options or limited options for CT aggression, which we've seen from Nemiga on some of these maps like a Mirage. And yeah, we can see, talking about this Dust 2, we saw it a couple of times from Nemiga, that 16-2 loss against Spirit and the 16-4 loss against Spirit. They had a really rough time in those two games. And then over on the HAVU side, a couple of wins on it recently, a couple of decent wins in there as well. So yeah, Dust 2 is the second map. I think just based on what we saw from Nemiga, I'm not that confident in it for them. I think, if anything, HAVU are the ones who maybe have a chance to 2-0 if they can step up early on Mirage. That's the thing I noticed about Nemiga, is a lot of the times they were getting off to really good starts on Mirage, because teams just weren't ready for their ridiculous aggression. Especially over on the B side. If they start on the T side, they love going for those fast B plays, which teams can surprisingly sometimes struggle with if they're not expecting it so early on.
Yeah, I think the only way that Nemiga win Dust 2 is if they do have their individual players popping off. It's like when we saw them versus Na'Vi. That Na'Vi game that you see on your screens at the moment should have been a win to Nemiga. Like, that was a game that they let slip. I think they were something like 15-12 up, or maybe even more initially, and ended up just letting it slip away in some rounds that they never should have lost. So there's definitely an aspect where it can go wrong. But thankfully, we are going to be getting into our knife round. So obviously on maps like Mirage and Dust 2, it's more just personal preference. I wouldn't say there's really a side that you should specifically be choosing. Whereas if you're on, for example, a train or a nuke, the CT side is obvious. I do find, though, that most teams just by default will pick the CT side. Maybe because of the ability to get those USPs and have a strong start. You're more likely to win the pistol on the CT side. But other than that, I really do think it's just preference.
Yeah, a lot of the times I almost wouldn't mind teams starting on the T side just because you can kind of dictate the pace early, and so you can choose if you want to go for faster plays. If you're feeling confident, you can go for those early fights. If not, then you can just sit back. Whereas on the CT side, you don't have that same ability. But we'll wait and see what the decision will be for the side of... I don't even know who won that knife. I honestly zoned out while it was happening. It was Nemiga. I thought so. And they are starting CT.
Doto got 4 kills and had to ace it to win, and he didn't.
Rip. I think I would have preferred Nemiga to start on T, honestly, based on what we've seen from them. But they've chose the CT start. We're ready to get underway into Mirage, a map that Nemiga love to play. HAVU will be here trying to stop them, though, and they'll be buying some early utility and 2 P250s drop for ZOREE and doto. That'll be fun to keep track of.
It is one of those maps where you can almost play the CT side like a T side, though. That's maybe one of the only arguments I can give. There's very aggressive plays, like on both sides of the map. You can basically go picking at any moment. But Lollipop about to come under some serious pressure. I'm quite surprised by his aggressive stance, like taking a further push forward in that scenario. And eventually, he is going to get a reward for it. That first kill up, and now just waiting for that bomb to be planted, waiting for the rotations. That is a crisp one tap as well. Already Lollipop just looking to take a ball down. One more needed, and while he set his team up perfectly, we mentioned this man at the beginning of the game. Now it's left all on to Saw, and there is nothing he can do. A bomb plant at least nice for HAVU, but that was disgusting from Lollipop.
Yeah, that's why you put Lollipop on the A site on Mirage, because it's oftentimes a high traffic area of the map. You want to put your best aimer there a lot of the time, and man alive, did Lollipop prove that he is a very good aimer in that round. Took him a little bit of time to get into it, but once he started to land these cleaner shots, that's when he really came through with a massive amount of impact there. Just the fact that he gets that third kill instantly as well means there's no way that HAVU can quickly peek out for the trade. Because he just landed the one shot, there's no way they could get the timing right to try and just trade it quickly. So getting those kills so fast made a big difference for Lollipop. And now into the second round, HAVU have decided to go for the force buy. I wonder if Nemiga aren't fully aware of this, because Spiidi stuck with the P250 into this round. They've got a couple of rifles in there as well, but they've got to be just a little bit careful on the Nemiga side here that they don't let this go against them. If they lose one or just those 2 rifles early, then they could actually be in some trouble.
Well, I've said it in the last game. I'll say in this game, I hate it. I don't know why you wouldn't just go for even a FAMAS or something. I understand the temptation, especially when you're an AWPer, to try and save that money for an AWP. But the fact is, if you lose this round, it doesn't matter. So you might as well try and basically make sure you win the round, then you get an extra little bonus along the way. It's also maybe the suggestion that they are trying to, or they're expecting a save from HAVU, but that's such a gamble, and now they've ended up in a disadvantageous situation. Spiidi still doesn't have a gun, and 2 of his teammates have gone down in response. There should be some potential weaponry as well for HAVU to actually retrieve, and they are going to go hunting. It is Spiidi trying to take first contact, almost baiting ZOREE into the angle, but in the meantime, the remainder of this T side has gone pushing, and they still haven't cleared that man in the backlines. Nice shot from Spiidi. They've got to deal with ZOREE in middle. They should know. Has this not been communicated? That is just poor from Nemiga. And eventually the trade comes in and a rifle can be retrieved. So it's ended up in an okay position now. But the shot over the smoke leaves it into the 1 versus 1. Doto on the ramp. Deg in hand. Spiidi has been able to retrieve this rifle previously. He's got a kit as well, but the shot's going to be missed. And that's everything given away. The question is, can he land this Molotov into the right angle? It's actually the tap, but the bomb's not planted where he expected it to be. However, Doto hits the shot anyway. I feel like that could have just been the diffuser from Spiidi from the current position, but he tries to play the game. He tried to play with a pistol, and eventually they lose.
Yeah, that was very, very close route. What are we watching here? What? Oh, that was from warm-up. Okay. Jeez, I was completely baffled. I don't know why that is a thing that can happen, though. But hey, that just completely threw me off guard. What I was going to say is that, yeah, really close round in the end, but HAVU are the ones who end up coming away with it. And now we get what might be the first SG that's been bought so far in the playoff stage of the Hellcase Cup. It's in the hands of ZOREE right now. Definitely a weapon that we've not seen too often. The fire rate is really slow on that SG now. It can still be good in long-range fights. It's just the versatility is way lower compared to the AK. And SpeedAxe won that first fight for Nemiga with the one rifle that they have in their hands. So Nemiga looking to put up a fight here in this third round.
Yeah, definitely not wanting to just give up that early fight after losing the force buy. Took a fairly risky setup in that round as well with the couple of players in mid. It's very reliant on the players hitting their shots, and if they don't, T's will normally get 2 for 1. It does normally work a lot better if you have an AWP in the window. Then you can hold top mid a little bit easier, and it's not as big a risk. Push going to be coming in onto MDS, though it does have the deke. The flash actually leaves every player blind, but eventually they will get the kills, leaving just one player remaining. SpeedAxe trying to hold on to the cross. The bomb is going to be coming through the apartments anyway, so he won't be able to deny that, but the hope is that he could drop a player and maybe turn it into a 3-on-3.
Bomb has been planted.
It doesn't look like HAVU are giving him that opportunity, though. SpeedAxe was clearing some of those angles, but didn't want to commit to anything, knowing that the HAVU players would probably just be waiting close by. And he will back on up. Lollipop has a Galil as well, and a CZ in his back pocket, so it would be nice to save that extra pistol to drop to a teammate. Only 2 bullets left in this scout of box, but I don't think he's going to need to pull the trigger because all of HAVU are exiting through the apartments. So I think both teams are happy to hold on to what they can ahead of the next round. And good start for HAVU. Getting off to a good start here on the T side, I think, was always going to be important for them. Now they can start to gain a bit more comfort on this map, although they do still have to be concerned of this, not buy, but weapons that have been saved over by Nemiga. There are still those weapons in play. Still pretty solid start for HAVU, though, and I'm sure they will be happy to try and go for that mid control again, as they did in the previous round.
Yeah, the fact is even the next round buy from Nemiga isn't going to be a particularly good one unless they can save some extras. Chances of an AWP slim. SpeedAxe would need basically to save the Kevlar and get a kill for that to happen. That is mainly the horrible reason why if you do win the pistol and lose that second round, you get a hard reset, which really doesn't happen too much in Counter-Strike nowadays. A $1,400 loss bonus is definitely a rarity. Mainly because they topped it up a little bit for pistol rounds. Even still, we are going to see Hoodie just patiently waiting outside of this B site. A couple of players there, and he will have heard the jump, so he's going to know the box is on this angle. Easy pre-fire. There's only one player remaining on this side of the map. I think he expected it, but never mind. MDS actually going to get the kill, escapes, at least for a second. But then the spray and the Molotov have done enough. Now the remaining 2 might as well just save what they've got and have extra utility into the next.
Yeah, they would have had to take some weaknesses anyway, so even though saving the Galil doesn't feel great, it's what really has to happen. And then JO can do whatever he wants, really. He's only got the USP right now. HAVU would be building up some money with this strong start, though. They could go and try and hunt these weapons down if they wanted to. They've got a bit of money in the bank, so they don't have to save all 4 of these guns, but you want to save at least 3, ideally, 2 at a minimum, so they won't be going too hard on the hunt. They'll be letting Nemiga save over those 2 rifles, and then JO will save absolutely nothing, but he just keeps his teammates safe. So good start for HAVU here on this T side of Mirage. After losing the pistol rounds, they've instantly bounced back. Lollipop, after getting the quad kill in the pistol, hasn't been able to do too much since, but that might be about to change as the guns come out for Nemiga. That Galil being given over to Box. As you pointed out earlier, Tom, no AWP available for them in this one, and SpeedAxe doesn't even drop one of his teammates, which might have allowed them to get more nades. Instead, he's going to keep the money. Clearly, he wants the AWP in the future.
Yeah, I'm guessing that's something they probably spoke about. In terms of utility, it leaves them a little bit down in the dumps, but Box having the kit will leave them a little bit better off. I like the fact that the T's have just gone for a very aggressive stance in middle, knowing that utility will probably be a little bit diminished, and there was a chance that maybe they'd be fighting for it. SpeedAxe actually through the edge of the smoke is going to be able to get that opening pick. Got to be really careful. You can see Saw almost just ducking back and forth between the edge of that smoke. Box clearly feeling quite confident, looking to see if anybody will go through the underpass. As of right now, they're still sat at the top of middle. HAVU just waiting patiently for any further aggression, but considering how little utility we actually had for Nemiga, they're not in a bad spot right now. They've managed to hold on to quite a lot of it for the latter portions of the round.
You saw that Box's teammate throw a smoke for connector for him, and it's a smoke where there is a little gap over the top, which Box likes to try and fight through. But HAVU spotted him, so he's forced away, and he just about gets away safely. Taking some damage in the process, though. Oh, and Spiidi completely caught out by hoody there. Didn't realize that man would already be on short. The rifle may be recovered by Box, but he's forced away by the flames, and here comes the fight for JO. Good kill onto the first man. In comes Doto for the trade, though. HAVU keeping together, staying compact on these trade kills, and now they're going to move into the A site, where Lollipop is playing it safe, but he gets that quick headshot. Box now rotating over. 15 seconds left on the clock for HAVU to get this bomb down, and Saw somehow wins that fight in CT, but here comes Lollipop. Kill onto the bomb site, and the follow-up frag. Lollipop's position pays off as Nemiga get their second round win.
Good job from him once again. I feel like he's always going to be the pivotal player to watch, but the fact that in basically throughout all the madness, he is being proactive. He's taking control, clears out the ramp, makes sure that if they do go through connector, he knows exactly where is clear and where is not. He can't get flanked from anywhere, so it's very easy of him to take these fights without having to worry about anyone coming in from behind. Bit of a risk going alone when his teammate was a little bit further away to actually help him, but he makes it work. So it will be Nemiga taking their second round onto the board. Of course, with how things have gone so far, plenty of money remaining, and that extra cash actually has been invested by Spiidi, so we do get our all battle into round number 6.
Yeah, first time we'll see that come through with the topsy-turvy economy game to start this one off. Smoked down by Spiidi to see over the top into mid. He's got a tight angle to work with, and with that man jumping across, there's no way he could try and pull the trigger on the first opponent. Ooh, Spiidi getting somewhat close to seeing an opponent, but they're not giving him the early fights. Box is also here in connector, a position he always likes to play. Again, there's that smoke we were talking about where he can see over the top of it, and sometimes players aren't ready for this. sLowi's got to be careful right here. Oh, and he's not ready. The Molotov goes in, but Box can just sit on top of that smoke and get a nice and easy kill.
Lollipop again. Loves to play aggressive around this ramp. I think he's well aware that ZOREE is going to be waiting on the other side, and he's been locked out. In fact, the bomb's going to go rotating back. They've still got Palace control, but clearly feeling that as of right now, the A site is on lock, and with MDS as the solo B defender, it might be the right place to try and probe. Of course, for JO, we normally see him playing around short, but for now, he's actually going to be watching into the ladder room. This battle could be everything. If MDS gets this kill, it could be over, but Saw actually pre-fires the angle. Now gives them a road onto the B site. As said, JO is the rotator, so he is going to be coming in. They do have to be careful about some of these other angles. They're expecting him to be on short, but instead, he's pushed into the site. I think Doto might have just spotted him, though, and although ZOREE's gone down elsewhere, they will now be able to plant the bomb.
Yeah, surprised that JO's not ready for the man on the site already. Saw's able to just peek out from the side. I guess he was so focused on the other player in the apartments, and Saw's looking for more here. Spiidi, I think, was spotted. Doto holding the apartments, but it's Saw who's out in the open, and oh, the spray doesn't do anywhere near as much damage as he wanted it to, but the headshot will be connected, and Doto almost has the lineup. It's into the one-on-one as he moves aggressively onto the site. He's taking the fight here. Box tries to round the corner, but Doto is in position to win the round. HAVU get their fourth on the board, and this is looking good for them at the start of the T side, especially coming back from a 3v5 in that round. They found a couple of solo fights on B that made all the difference.
Well, that's something I'm actually quite surprised at by Nemiga, is the fact that, so they get those two openers, fantastic, well done, but they don't actually rotate anybody back. So they still keep it in a 4-1, even though there's only 3 players remaining. Most teams in that scenario would have made the decision, okay, we will now rotate somebody back just to give us a little bit more presence elsewhere on the map. So maybe a bit of a misplay from them there. It did mean that MDS had to hit his shots, and well, props to Saw for not only finding one, but 2 openers into the site.
Where's
This
that
time,
smoke?
though, sLowi has done a good job, although, as you mentioned, the smokes not quite landed where they wanted to be. And in fact, they are taking a few casualties along the way.
You see a couple of AWPers picking up this SG. Shiro was doing it for Gambit Youngsters as well. ZOREE is doing the same here. Unable to afford the AWP right now, but they will be closing out the round, only losing one player in the process. So not too bad for HAVU. Just got to make sure that that missed smoke doesn't come through in a gun round, where it would be really costly for them. And Spiidi will be the man picking up an AWP into this round. HAVU decide not to spend their money on a sniper because they saved those guns through, whereas Spiidi goes glass cannon with his AWP. Got to see if he can land some fast shots and, importantly, avoid those nades, which will be deadly if he takes them. And Nemiga, once again, stacking pretty heavily on the A site to start this round.
These are the sort of plays where I do question the mental sanity of someone like Box. Like, no support, no one in window, just running out into mid. Such a big risk.
Yeah, there was one flash from a teammate, I think. That was it.
It just isn't worth it, especially if there's going to be multiple players. Jayo's got to be careful because there is another player just on the edge, but he has just enough bullets to get him through. And again, we're going to see a large advantage for Nemiga. Now, I do feel like HAVU are going to have to start realizing the way that Nemiga are playing. They are pushing absolutely everything, taking so much map control away, basically just making things impossible for HAVU to actually hold in the early portions of the round. sLowi, he's got to at least try and make this costly, but in fact, he will fall to that AWP. A very clean round for Nemiga, only one player dropped. And now for the T's, it's a little bit awkward for their financial situation.
Yeah, and those players we were talking about on Nemiga who needed to show up have been showing up in these early round wins for them. Lollipop got the 3K on the pistol, then the 4K in their first gun round win. Now Spiidi starting to get involved with the AWP in his hands. So Nemiga are starting to show us those signs of life which we were expecting to see from them here on Mirage. HAVU, though, have got themselves an early lead, so it's not as bad for them. And, ooh, Saw not ready for the aggression, but ZOREE certainly is. Just bursting away with the SG there, and HAVU are countering with some aggression of their own. Spiidi not ready on the B-bomb site, alone with the AWP, and he might be in trouble. He gets that first kill, but he was never getting more than that with Hoodie closing the distance. And HAVU's aggression has worked out for them. Nemiga really trying to get back into the bomb site, but that will not be happening for them. Lollipop will be stuck saving, and I guess HAVU just decided to fight fire with fire in this round.
Yeah, I think it also comes down to the fact that if your opposition is consistently like aggressing on the map, a lot of the times there's going to be a hole somewhere because they can't fight everywhere all of the time. They do try. That's the Nemiga mantra. It's just to continuously fight, but the fact is if they're pushing all over the map, a lot of the time you are going to be able to just break down one site relatively easily, and the B site seems to be that site at the moment. They're a little bit too reliant on MDS to hold it down, and when that doesn't work, HAVU get easy access.
Yeah, the other problem with going so aggressive in other spots sometimes is if those fast B plays come in, for example, then Nemiga might have had a player who was in mid, but if he's pushed into top mid, he's just far away on the rotate. Or maybe they have a player on A who could rotate, but he's pushed into a ramp or palace, and it just puts you very far away from being able to rotate over. And especially with how Nemiga have been setting up so far, MDS has kind of been on an island by himself on that B-bomb site. He's never really had much assistance. At the start of a lot of these rounds, Nemiga have been putting 3 players on A, or they've had a heavy focus on mid. That might be something worth looking at as this game goes on. HAVU, though, should be able to get themselves a pretty solid T side together from this point. They already have a 6-3 lead. They don't need too many more rounds to be happy with their T side, and they've got their opponents down to a low buy into this one. Lollipop, the one man with the AK. He generally plays on the A side of the map, but he's trying to switch up his positioning in this one. Currently sitting in window, as HAVU decide to take their time in this round. This is the exact sort of round where Nemiga might go for some aggression as well, so you can understand why HAVU are just holding back.
Yeah, well, you say that. They go for aggression every round, so I guess you have to be careful all of the time. But I think that's something that HAVU can handle. That's what I said at the beginning. Like, if I'm going to give an advantage, it might just be because of the clash of styles. Like, one team fairly methodical, patient, and waiting. But never mind. SpeedX just got 2 kills with a USP. I don't know how that's happened. I am not sure what's going on, and it's looking like everything's going wrong for this T side. It's left all onto ZOREE. A nice couple of shots to try and save them here. At least make things costly. JO's close, but they play together. That is an atrocious round for HAVU to lose. And, well, I guess I take it back. Maybe they're not prepared.
Yeah, I was just saying how, it's looking so good for HAVU. They're going to get themselves into a good position and a good amount of rounds on the board already. And now that is just completely thrown out of the window with that round loss, because now Nemiga have a chance to really build something here on this CT side. Those early odds are favoring HAVU, though, thanks to their strong start here on Mirage, here on their opponent's map pick. But we've got to see if that start is set to continue, as they only have pistols in this round. Lollipop's currently alone on A, though, so he's going to need some assistance if this A play were to come through.
If there was anybody I would rely on, it would be him. He does manage the first kill. Should be surrounded in. I don't know how he survives even that long, but the trades have come back. JO needs to win this duel, and he will. And now svyat will fall as well. Nice work from the Estonian to keep things at least a little bit cleaner, and Lollipop to stay alive as long as he did. Now we get ever closer to the scoreline equalizing, but for HAVU, there should be a purchase in this round.
Again, those 2 standout players for Nemiga, Lollipop and SpeedAC, were definitely the 2 most impressive players when we saw them at the RMR event recently. And that is the same situation here at the Hellcase Cup. Lollipop and SpeedAC both topping the charts for Nemiga. And another round where Nemiga have 3 players stacked on A early and some aggression into A ramp. Lollipop is trying to be disruptive, but wow, sLowi is so fast on that shot. Now Box is going to be playing in sandwich, though, which is a position which can be overlooked, and it is overlooked, but he only gets 1 kill out of it. SpeedAC has to try and hold on to the bomb site. Second shot lands, and they're not trading him here. SpeedAC almost gets the chance for another, but svyat takes him down, and the trades are just all over the place, but it's all on to ZOREE in a 1v2 with the AWP. Not the gun he'd want in this position, and there's a man at stairs. Oh, what? How have they just bypassed each other? ZOREE now hears the step. This is so strange. JO's going to push all the way into ramp. Meanwhile, ZOREE, oh no, the vent's not broken. You saw him just like facepalm as soon as he saw that.
Yeah, this is going to make things very awkward because both angles need to be cleared. I don't know if JO will be expecting anybody to be behind him. Why?
Okay.
Why?
Just going to let that sit for a second.
That is one of those tendencies that I think everybody has, where they just switch off of their weapon for a second just for no reason, but I don't know. That is unfortunate, and because of that, the round actually slips away from them. So it is going to be a 6-6. Again, looking like there were major opportunities, but it seems like SpeedAC this time was the one to get in their way. And all that HAVU can really invest into this round are a few pistols. So looking like Nemiga are set to get themselves back into the lead. But honestly, with the way things have been going in this game so far, who really knows?
It's a lot of the times the way with Nemiga. You can never be 100% sure what's going on. And they do play a very fun style if you haven't seen Nemiga before. Their CT aggression hasn't been too crazy this game, but on the T side, I'm sure they'll be getting aggressive, taking a lot of fights. I'm hearing some chatter between the 2 teams. I wonder if there is a technical issue for one of them. Or if ZOREE just called for a technical pause and just pretended that his mouse was broken, because that's what I'd do if I were him.
Yeah, I feel like you say fun with Nemiga's playstyle. I would say stressful. Like it can be good, but it can be infuriating. Like when it works, then you kind of go, oh, maybe that was smart. But then you see Box run out mid solo and try and fight. And then that's where you kind of go, okay, well, that definitely wasn't a smart play to make. Like, there's no backup plan. It's almost like a Mission Impossible X-esque type situation where he just goes, like, running in and has to try and fight off everybody at once. It's Tom Cruise versus the world, and in reality, as in most cases here, he'd just get shot in the face.
I mean, you're making it sound fun when you say Mission Impossible and Tom Cruise versus the world, but then he gets shot in the face, and that's
yeah,
not as
but
fun.
the difference is those films aren't real, and also
What?
if it was Mission Impossible, how would there be like 5?
Wait, you mean how would there be 5 Mission Impossible movies? Is what you mean. Yeah.
Because it's not. Yeah, surely once you go past like 3, you go.
Probably
it's kind of hard. Like, it's a kind of hard mission, you know. Like, you did the last 3, I said those are impossible, dude. So this one, you know, like, you'll probably be fine. Like, chances are you'll be all right.
There you go. A more accurate title for Mission Impossible movies.
Whereas with the things the Box do, they are impossible, and he gets killed.
Well, I still have fun watching Nemiga. I just generally like teams that have like a very distinct play style that they just stick to. Because I just, part of me just doesn't understand how you even form a team like this and how you get 5 guys that are all like, yeah, let's just like rush like almost every round. You know, it's kind of cool to see that they all come together and they all commit to it. And speaking of committing to it, HAVU committing to the B site early into this one. These pistols trying to close the distance. MDS has got the support this time. The rotate has arrived. And Nemiga have every single player here. So they're going to shut this down pretty handily.
sLowi just hoping for some extra damage, but instead will find a nade. So it is going to be Nemiga getting their 7th onto the board, taking the lead after what was a decent streak from HAVU. Now, I do think that even 6 rounds can be enough on the T side, but with the way that this has been going so far, I think they'll feel a little bit hard done by. If they lose out the remaining few rounds, it would be, what, 6 in a row for Nemiga, if that's how the half is closed. They are going to have a purchase this time. It seems like ZOREE might have just shied away from the AWP a little bit. Now, finances were a bit low for him, so it's potentially that as one of the reasons, but also just with a lot of the positions he's ended up in, his AWP has either had to be his clutch weapon or just not had much impact at all.
Smokes into the A site, and apparently Doto can see through smokes. He gets the opening kill onto JYO, or JO, as I will normally call him. For some reason, I spelled it out that time. Ooh, Box going through the smoke. Absolute madness, but sLowi's there to get the trade back. And there are still 2 players on this A site. HAVU really haven't fully committed to this, and the bomb has been dropped all the way in jungle. This is not a good look for HAVU right now, but they are still finding kills, so it might work for them. Lollipop, though, taking matters into his own hands, but the trades keep on coming, and SpeedAx somehow lands that shot. That's ridiculous.
That was sick. The movement of a god to get back round the corner. That's got to be an infuriating one for HAVU, because there were so many moments in that round where they could have easily closed it out. So many aggressive plays, Box running through the smoke. This as well was such a small angle. I want to see the last shot. That's the only one I really care about. That was just sexy. Nice. I'm almost glad we didn't see it from his perspective the first time round, just to get both looks at it. But yeah, we're going to come back in with just Galils, mostly. A couple of AKs and definite limitations for HAVU in this round. Box. You can see them spamming the smoke at this point. I really don't blame them. He's been pushing through it a lot. sLowi might be about to try and take a leaf out of his book, although he's come in with a flashbang behind. JO is so perfectly placed. He's whiffed it though, but he gets there in the end. MDS has also won his duel. Now ZOREE taking the time to inspect his AK while sLowi does all the work. It's 2 quick kills back into the round, putting us into a 3 versus 3 situation. Lollipop has made the rotation, and ZOREE also spotted him on the way past. A trade back leaves just ZOREE on his lonesome, and Lollipop will fall. And the last man left is Box, and he knows almost exactly where he is. Now, he could go for the rotation through to the A site. That might be the safer of the 2 spots, but instead, just going to be facing, spots the shot, and hits him with the last bullet. An 8-7 half, a decent comeback, though. A resurgence from Nemiga after what was, I think, a 6-3 scoreline. Ending at 8-7, really not bad at all.
Yeah, you saw HAVU, I think, trying to exploit the B site a few times throughout this half where they thought the rotations were slow. I also think you saw HAVU start to get a good read. Like you were saying, they started to spam connector. They started to put that Molotov into that position. Box was playing basically every round in the right side of connector. So HAVU seemed to start to get a grasp on what Nemiga were doing as the game went on. I wonder if they'll be ready for Nemiga's T side, though, as we switch sides here. A close scoreline at the half, but this is where Nemiga can really unleash their full potential with their aggressive plays. They can fully go sicko mode into this one. We'll see if they go for it as Box picks up the nades for the pistol round, and it looks like they are spread across the map, so not quite as fast of a pistol. There are 2 players stacked in underpass, though. sLowi not ready for the fight, but ZOREE is. Oh, the Glocks, though, really landing some good shots to start this one off. And hoody decides he has to back away.
Yeah, an awkward exchange and one that has left the B site completely open. Saw's going to hear all the footsteps, but he hasn't been able to deny it. Jump's not going to be achieved either, and the rotation has been heard. This is a pretty awkward situation now. Spiidi already in the corner. It should be expected, but Saw isn't prepared. And this second pistol round is looking set for Nemiga, although that face wasn't really necessary. Spiidi giving up his life. The kit is still retrieved by hoody, but now left alone in a 1 versus 3. No real chance.
No, they're giving him fights, but I think that's because they know the round is won more than anything else. A decoy thrown towards hoodie's position, just to let him know they know exactly where he is. And hoody will be backing away, saving a kit and some Kevlar. But it is Nemiga who win the pistol round with a early B play. Nemiga are one of the teams that do go for these B-sided plays more often than a lot of other teams, from what I've seen. They're happy to go for some fast B rushes, even in full gun rounds, which is kind of rare. I guess Furia are another team who like to do that with Art's playstyle. I still imagine joining Furia for the first time and playing with Art in the first like scrims you play with the team, and you just sit there thinking, what is happening?
Yeah, you're on the T side and just like 8 seconds into the round, he's like, I'm in CT spawn. It's like,
yeah.
that's not possible. It's like, wow, clearly you have yet to learn the art.
Yeah. When there's a will, there's a way.
Already, MDS is going to be getting the opener. Same sort of concept there. It's 20 seconds in and we've already lost a man. Box going to be sneaking his way through the smoke. Oh dear.
Oh, hello.
It's a little bit awkward, but it does come out for HAVU. Saw trying to spam a few CZ shots. He doesn't have many to spare, so he's hoping that maybe he could connect with this plant for CT. I almost want to just see the CT side save this one. I don't really see a way that they get back into this round, and saving that extra weaponry could be far more valuable. Doto with a nice shot again, but now you've got 2 players desperately low. Fair enough if you want to just feed Spiidi some frags. I guess that's the decision they've made, and well, it is going to be an easy round in the end for Nemiga.
Yeah, just needing the 1 kill to get onto the A site, really, because that second man was in connector, so works out fine for Nemiga. And they close it out with some kills at the end. Even if it costs them a little bit in terms of their money, they take more away from HAVU, and they make this next round so much safer for them. They only have the 1 pistol up against them in this one, so this is Nemiga's chance to build up even more bank. If anything, you don't really need to buy too much more into this round for Nemiga. Even those 2 players that died can probably just go with either an SMG or maybe even a pistol if they really wanted to. And that's what Jay will be doing. He sticks with a pistol for this one. There isn't too much of an investment on the HAVU side, and there are 4 AKs, so that should be all fine into this one. Nemiga going for the early mid control, and there is no one here from the HAVU side to stop this from happening. Oh, okay, hello, sLowi's dead from the Molotov.
Well, this again should be a very easy round. Doto is going to get spammed, and Lollipop will be there with the execution. He's had a very good game so far. 18 and 10. We've come to expect a lot from this guy, but he really is looking to just dominate. Now, an AK has been stolen away, because Box, wow. I guess the comparison you can make with Box is imagine if Art was just not as good. That's Box.
Pretty much.
May sound like an insult, and that's because it is.
I mean, Art's... you can just say that Art's so good that, you know, Box is still good, just not as good.
I don't know,
That would be the
man.
nice way of selling it.
Yeah, but I'm not a nice person.
You're not a nice man.
I would just say he's just a worse version. He's like a B-Tech version.
Right.
Budget version.
It's a very UK reference, B-Tech.
Yeah, that's true actually.
Is there an equivalent to that for other countries? Probably not.
Like
Like community college or something?
I don't know.
Terrorists win.
But yeah, I guess it's like a different form of education in the UK. Where you go to college and not the Americans type of college, instead of going into like a sixth form and doing your A-levels. If you are from the UK, me explaining this sounds very much pointless, but if you're from anywhere else, hopefully that has helped you out, but it probably hasn't. But
Probably
let's put it this way, if I say B-Tech, it just means like budget. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, pretty much.
And now I've just insulted anyone who's done a B-Tech, but I don't care. So here we go. We are back into the round. Nemiga's still in the lead. We do have investments coming up from the CT side, but still no AWP just yet. ZOREE yet to really have the impact, at least I've desired from him, knowing how fantastic he can be, and someone who they'll desperately need on a map like Dust 2, where he is no doubt the star.
He's picking up these scope rifles a lot. Haven't seen him too much with the AWP though, so far.
I guess he just likes his scopes. Doesn't really
Apparently.
matter what gun it's on. sLowi loses the battle to MDS in this early aggression towards Connector, and they have to be careful because Lollipop's still lurking around on the ramp, and although you might think a solo man pushing ramp, how bad can it be? He is probably individually the best player on this server at the moment. Oh, shoulder peeking, back and forth. Information gathered from Doto more than anything else, and the spam through the smoke won't quite connect. The fact is, though, the bomb has started rotating in the other direction. Still the potential for a B play or the split underneath Connector and heading back to A. They need to be decisive, especially with their man advantage.
Yeah, this is one of these rare slow rounds from Nemiga. I guess with that man advantage, they're happy to slow it down. And oh dear, Sword gets an easy execution job in the back. Not many bullets left. He has to reload as he ducks into the corner. But with 20 seconds, Nemiga need this kill, and they found it. Problem is, there's a player in Palace and a player on the bomb site that they have to deal with. Lollipop's going to have to help them out here as, oh, ZOREE goes for the fight. 10 seconds left on the clock, but I think they're going to be okay to get the bomb down. Doto coming into play. They've got to clear this. They've got to get him out of the round, and they will. Lollipop turns it round, makes sure that Nemiga win the round, even though it comes close on the time at the end there. Nemiga up to a 12-7 lead.
I'm actually surprised they didn't try and eliminate the bomb planter rather than just going for the kill. Of course, for anybody wondering, you can use the code SLTV on Hellcase, or SLTV15, which will give you a 15% bonus if you do. So there you go. You can do that if you want. There's also a special case which puts money into the prize pool as well. So definitely worth it if you are looking to give some extra cash to, well, the winners of this tournament, basically, while getting yourself some skins along the way.
Ooh, Lollipop not winning that fight, which you may be expecting to win the majority of the time against the CZ of Saw. Saw goes down to 3 health in the process, but that means Nemiga have got to make sure that they don't lose any further fights in this round, at least not alone in some of these positions. I think you can see Nemiga making sure they hold on to this mid control after that AK was dropped. They don't want to let HAVU pick that up. Nemiga have got to figure out that there is a stack in play right now. 3 CTs on the B site. If they run into that, they could be in some trouble here, especially as ZOREE isn't far away on the rotation for HAVU. They have the ability to quickly rotate over to that B bomb site. The upside for Nemiga is now they make sure that that AK will not be recovered by HAVU, who are just sitting back and playing in their own areas of the map. But Nemiga are continuing to line up in and around this B site. They're going to run into this 3-man stack, which could be costly for them. If they lose 1 or 2 of these early fights, Nemiga might have some issues here.
Okay, missed shot. Another tag coming in onto box. Whittling away sLowi with a great 1D. Looking for a little bit more. They're all trapped on shore, just pushing into the blender. Another one for sLowi, and SpeedAx gonna die as well. As if HAVU have just taken that as a flawless round. They weren't even properly investing, and they come out with multiple AKs.
And Nemiga didn't really take the information that they needed to there. The upside of having that MiGHTYMAX is that you can try and send the MiGHTYMAX in first and maybe get the information, but at the start of the round, Lollipop ran up short. He lost that fight, and then Nemiga didn't really play across the map. They seemed like they just made up their minds that they were going to hit B, and if they ran into a stack, so be it. And unfortunately, that's what happens. They end up running into the B site stack. A couple of nice shots from HAVU seals the deal, but Nemiga looking to bounce right back in this next round. 2 entries right from the get-go, less than 20 seconds into the round, and Nemiga have a clean 5v3 advantage.
After such a good round, it is common for things to just let slip, and unfortunately with Hoodie and Doto both falling, it just gives so much space. And I have to say I'm liking the fact that Nemiga are slowing down a lot of these rounds. They're basically waiting for their opposition to slip up, to make a mistake, to take a risk, and it's put them in a spot where they almost have to, because HAVU just don't know anything at the moment. They have absolutely no idea. You could see Saw just trying to spot if anybody's come through the underpass, if there's anybody aggressive in middle, but as of right now, they're just sitting, waiting patiently. I almost want to see HAVU just gamble stack. Just send everybody into one place. Just put all of your eggs in one basket. Something you shouldn't do in life, but might work out here. Unfortunately, it seems like they might be having a similar sort of idea, but they've got it wrong. As now ZOREE is going to be the only one towards this A site, and he's dead within a second. Box with the AWP is going to step up. Not something I thought I'd say today, but clearly Liquipedia has that one correct. And it's going to be a 13th round.
Bomb has been planted.
Yeah, Nemiga just getting those first 2 kills. We're always going to be in a good position to close it out from there. I think, like you were saying, the decision to gamble stack was probably the correct call at that point. You have to just take a risk, and if you do get it wrong, you just save the guns, and you at least have a buy into the next. Question is, will they be allowed to save the guns? Because MDS is sniffing these players out. Saw's there ready to stop him, though, and there was no follow-up for MDS, so I think now HAVU should be safe. Pretty sure sLowi was just looking at the microwave, seeing if he could maybe make himself some food, because they know they're going to be in for a long con on this save. But they will be able to carry the 2 AKs over into the next round. So that ensures that HAVU's buy will be bolstered. It should be a full buy across the board for the Finns. And so far in this game, no one on the Finnish side of things massively underperforming, but their stars haven't really showed up. ZOREE in particular has been surprisingly quiet so far. Joint bottom with some of his other teammates. Whereas for Nemiga, their star players simply are showing up. Spiidi and Lollipop are both towards the top of the board. Again, you said Spiidi was someone that was very impressive at that recent RMR tournament. And ZOREE finally has the AWP in his hands. Double AWP setup for HAVU. Let's see if that's the difference maker.
I'm surprised that wasn't a hit. Gets there in the end. It's going to be sLowi, in fact, pushing aggressively and finding Lollipop just so clinical, though. I don't know if he would be expecting Saw to just be underneath the balcony, and it won't matter because ZOREE's already rotated in, and MDS finds some more space, box through the smoke, no surprise, doesn't let go of W key, and we'll see Saw get himself another kill. Left into a 2 versus 2, a flank coming in from sLowi. An AWP, definitely not the ideal weapon, and with the bomb still technically within the palace, they're definitely waiting to see if anybody will reaggress. That is going to be sLowi. The fact is, though, he can't scope. If he scopes, he gives the game away. So he's just going to have to wait, but there it is. The game has been given, but so has the kill. As Box hits the deck, throws the bomb onto the site, but unfortunately without the digits put in, it won't matter. Spiidi has got the first. Now he knows where the second player is, and he's going to try for the bamboozle, the full rotation through, but it seems like sLowi has the right idea. He's going to try and catch him on the cross. The footsteps heard. The nade goes through. Will it do enough? Not quite. Down to just 10 HP. And it is going to be a race to the finish, as the push will be coming through. Now he's tried to almost bait this out, as he will be coming from behind. The jump's been made, but it's not planted for short, so it won't be an open position. It seems like Spiidi is more than aware. He may have even just spotted a pixel of the foot, so he's got to try and guess which side he's coming from, and he flicks for the shot. Spiidi in the clutch, 24-11, and a superb way to get their 14th.
Yeah, Spiidi really has been, I think, the biggest reason that Nemiga have been able to step up so much recently. His AWPing has been really impressive for this Nemiga squad. Some games he absolutely can take over, just like this. Winning clutches for his team, oftentimes winning opening fights as well. This one into the 2v2 became uncomfortable once this first kill came against him, but Spiidi flicking around on that first was incredibly impressive. And then he's able to maneuver himself onto the bomb site to begin with to have a good chance at winning the clutch. And now HAVU are going for this early mid fight, but Nemiga are the kings of getting early kills. 15 seconds in, they've already found 2 frags. HAVU finally reply, but Lollipop is all the way on the A-bomb site, something that HAVU have to deal with.
He's even going to go for the fight in CT. It's risky. He doesn't spot him. He doesn't spot him, but he still gets away with it. He still falls back, and now he's just going to dome him. Of course he is. Lollipop doing Lollipop things. Saw being spotted, but it's still going to be 2. They don't even need to pressure this way. They can just fall back, but whatever. They'll fight it anyway. The Nemiga way, the Nemiga mantra. And, well, now it's a bleak spot for HAVU. 15-8, financially in the dirt. They'll get some rifles as a minimum, but it's not going to be good for them. And moving forward, well, no surprise, those odds are firmly in Nemiga's favor.
And if you want to bet over on Unicorn, you can go ahead and sign up and get $80 to play when you deposit $20 during the Starladder Hellcase Cup. Make sure to go ahead and check that out. But into what could be the last round of this first map, Nemiga dominating here on Mirage. Spiidi eventually gets that kill at mid, blind through a smoke. Nicely done by Spiidi, landing that shot and bringing it back to a 4 versus 4. Nemiga have left the bomb behind, so they should be slowing things down here, but they've got the mid control they were looking for. ZOREE remains close by, but he's so low on health with a FAMAS. I doubt he'll really want to fight mid too aggressively here. You can already see the defensive smoke being deployed. sLowi's the other player close to mid, and he's also low on health. So I think if I'm HAVU right now, I'm probably just sitting back and, oh, missed window smoke from Nemiga. That's not ideal, but they're going to boost up anyway, and sLowi isn't ready for it. MDS wins that fight, and after missing the window smoke, they just decide to boost anyway and take the fight. ZOREE, though, had the chance, but he didn't make the most of it.
This is just starting to become painful. Nothing's working for them here, and it's going to be just one man to defend it. Hoody on the site alone. Again, it's going to be a miss. The flashback comes through from Lollipop, even setting up his team for success. It's Doto. 1 versus 4. I think his footsteps should have been heard by MDS as well, so I think the remainder of the team should have a very good idea on what is that boost. What are they even doing? I think just having a bit of fun at the end of it. But yeah, we see why Nemiga is so successful on this map. A lot of aggression, a lot of individual prowess, and again, just showing how good some of the talent they currently have on their roster is.
Yeah, I think Mirage is probably the best map right now just for individuals, it feels like, to an extent. Like Dust 2,
I think it always has been.
Yeah, Dust 2, sometimes people will say, yeah, it's a very skill-based map, but Mirage feels so much freer for individual plays especially. Whereas on Dust 2, for example, if you want to push up short, you kind of have to do it together. On Mirage, you can make plays like this, back in the pistol round. Lollipop just getting all these kills around the A site, and you saw Nemiga's star players show up, while HAVU had some really quiet performers. In particular, I know ZOREE didn't get the AWP too often, but he still did not put up the numbers I was expecting for HAVU. And if he doesn't show up for HAVU, then you start to get some concerns in terms of their firepower, because they have some other good players, but ZOREE is meant to be the best player on this team, from what I've seen.
Yeah, for sure. I think there were some very quiet players. Like, sLowi wasn't bad, Saw had his moments as well, but ultimately, yeah, ZOREE was one that was missing. And the thing is, if he's missing on Dust 2, it's much more of an issue. Because obviously they've lost their opponent's map choice. That's not really the biggest of deals. It's not ideal, but you'd be hoping that you can take it. If not, you go on to your choice, and that's fine. However, if he goes missing on Dust 2, I think there is a real issue, because Spiidi looked absolutely fantastic, and he also performs at least to a decent level on Dust 2, and even just on a confidence basis. Like, the teams that you've seen this Nemiga side lose to on Dust 2. Sure, they got banged out by Spirit, but Spirit are a fantastic Dust 2 team. Then you go on to some of the other rosters, like they almost beat Na'Vi. So they definitely can, if they're performing to a high standard, challenge versus some of the better teams. And you have to bear in mind that that previous tournament will have been some really good experience for Nemiga. Up until that point, we've not really seen them challenge versus any like top 10 teams in the world. It's not something that they regularly get to do. So even just that basic little bit of practice, even Blade saying that like they expected this team to be this aggressive, but couldn't actually do a lot about it at times. So it'll be interesting to see how it works out on Dust 2. I do still favor HAVU going into that map, but honestly, if they perform like they have here, it should actually be a fairly easy game for Nemiga.
Yeah, especially as you said, with Spiidi being that top fragger as the AWPer. Yeah, that'll be something definitely worth keeping track of into Dust 2. I think in general, from what I've seen from Nemiga, their Dust 2 can be very hit or miss. Sometimes I feel like they have real issues on their CT side. Sometimes as well, it feels like they don't necessarily have the aggression quite as set as they do on Mirage, which is obviously a map they play way more often, and they have a bunch of executes where they're willing to go aggressive. Then again, we didn't actually see them play too aggressive for the most part on these T rounds, because they were just getting opening picks so often. They were kind of just going for solo aggression and then sitting back and saying, okay, we have a man or a two-man advantage. We can just play it out from here. So it was cool to see Nemiga show off that facet of their game as well. And whenever your top fragger is negative in terms of his KD ratio, you know something's not gone well.
Yeah, only 3 AWP kills
He just
out
didn't
of
have
the
the
12.
AWP often.
Yeah, I think a lot of the time the financial restraints that they had after losing some of the rounds, it did make it a little bit awkward. And maybe they should have saved up some extra cash to make sure they could have got that AWP in play. So yeah, not the best performance we've ever seen from HAVU, but I think they're a team that have actually been notably quite well known for their comebacks, bringing in the second map as well, especially. So we'll see how they do on Dust 2. Either way, it is going to be a short break before that happens, so we'll join you then.